Hey, today, well, in my last video, I did in fast time showing how I got the form all together using my reference there. See the picture of Penny on the boat and working to get the shape just right, and the legs can't be too thick, and you know, I put the eyes in to make sure that that looked right on the face. And so now I'm going to get ready to add some color, but you got to get the jaw square is what I'm doing now, and getting it all ready to put the color on, because once you put the color on, then it makes it more difficult to change the shape. So you really want to get that set in the stone, so to speak. And so I'm going to add some white on the chest and look at the reference and see where the white goes on the dog. Now you can see on the back side I haven't done anything because it's going to be, nailed up to the backboard once it's in the frame. And, so that's not necessary to do that. You'll never see that side of it. And so that's just my white wool, and I'm poking it in with my yellow needle and trying to make it all smooth. I try to contour the wool to the dog. And then that way it's, not messy looking, it's going in the same direction, and it just adds to the piece. I have a wire in that leg, and so now I'm just knitting the wool tight around that wire, and the wire helps support the dog. I don't want the leg to look floppy. And when it gets mounted in the frame, then that'll be kind of a supportive armature in the dog. And that's the only place I have wire, because the rest of the dog is solid wool and, can support itself inside the frame. I'm just adding some muscle to the front of the leg there. Poke it in nice and neat, and just working the overall shape. People know their dog real well, so you want to make sure it looks, as close as you can get it to the dog. And I try to get a picture all the way around of the dog. They sent me a video, so that was a good way to show the top, the back, the side of the dog. And that'll show you, he has a white spot on his ear on one side, and the other side he doesn't have a white spot, so you can get all the details correct. So a video is a good idea. So if you want to have a dog portrait done, get a nice video, of your dog in different situations. And then from that you can I can upload onto iMovie and capture any still photo of the dog or whatever creature and work from that as reference. So that's kudos to iMovie just to do something like that. This one here, they sent me just a 1-minute movie, and I broke down the frame, and the dog had turned his head just a little bit more, and that's the photo that I chose, because it kind of gave him, looking, and his head was tilted, and it was just a nice look for the dog. Actually, it wasn't a 1-minute movie, it was a 1-second movie, so I got like 10 frames and picked the best shot out of those 10 frames. Anyway, I was working on that paw because the angle of it, has to be just right after that toe that hangs off the leg. And it kept falling forward, so I really had to stiffen that up. Right, so now I'm working on getting his brow, that forehead brow. And now I'm going to set these eyes. Just make the holes in there and then glue them in. I think later on I rip them out because they were too big, and I went with the smaller eyes, but I couldn't see it. But once I put the color on the dog, I realized, oh goodness, those eyes are too big. So I had to rip them out. Maybe that'll show up in a later video. Really working the face, because the face is so important to get the proportions correct. You know, every little detail helps to the personality of the dog. So there's the brow that's over the eye, because you want the eye to look in the skull and not on it. I say that a lot, I know. But it's very important, because you don't want a bug-eyed dog. She's a cute little dog. You know, they have this dog has a broad head. So I want to make sure I get that right before I put the ears on. And then here I realized that the chin was too underbite, so I had to bring that jaw forward, the bottom jaw, because it wasn't as far back as I had it in the wool rendition. So the black nose, that helps set, you know, some of the features of the face. And that's a good marker to go off of for your other details on the face. And so what I do is I knit it first, so that way I don't punch in the nose flatter and flatter, because I want that nose a certain length. So you do it on your cushion first, and always leave a little bit of wool on the end, and then it's easier to knit in. See that wool I have? It's easier to knit in instead of a solid piece of wool. And then I can take some of that wool and make that little dividing line, and then put his lips in with that little piece I pulled off. And you don't want it to look like a hairy bozo lip either, or I mean hairy bozo nose. So you got to poke that in good without compressing the muzzle. So you have to do that on the cushion first, then put it on the dog. That's a good tip. And I decided, you know, I'm going to decide here between a vertical or a horizontal. I think I like the horizontal. He seems to fit better inside. She seems to fit better inside there.